have that music after this, so there will be background music after this ends.
When you really need to know, we are the show. You want to know, it's time to talk to you.
All right, folks, welcome to the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. I am Joe Mangiacotti, and it's strange to be back here Sunday just because between Easter and being under the weather last week, I haven't been in for a couple of Sundays, so it was kind of strange getting back into that groove. But yes, your Sunday morning talk block is intact. Myself, Mike Wade comes in at 7 o'clock, Peter Ballute at 9 o'clock, and Jerry Doherty joins us at 9:30 for a quick segment. So that's a great way to spend your Sunday mornings. Not that you have to do a lot. You just let your radio turn on. Also, we're live streaming on the TuneIn app. And on that, I want you to download it if you don't have it in your machine and device. Listen to me, machine. I guess it is. Download it into your device. Find WCRN by just punching that in. And then hit the little like button. We like that. And it's very easy to find it after that. You can join the conversation at 508-871-7000, 508-871-7000. Very easy to do that. And take us anywhere. Of course, you can listen at AM 830 WCRN, the terrestrial radio, of course. What else? What else? Look who's behind the board. You guys switched off.
We did switch off, so it's not Cam this week. Shane's in studio this week.
Shane flying the board. All right.
Board.
Cam had a good time last night then?
He must have. Yeah, usually when there's a switch involved, it results in Cam having some kind of wild and crazy night the night before, which I do the same thing, so I totally get.
That's good. That's our Sunday morning. You guys are responsible. That's awesome. All right, a lot to talk about. Mike always accuses me of stealing his thunder on the way in, so I don't, there's so much obviously to talk about, and you guys know where I stand on a lot of things. The situation going on, what I find incredibly interesting is all of this timing going on with Elon Musk deciding to buy Twitter, which is fascinating in itself. To have, to be the richest man in the world and to have that kind of money. I mean, some of us, if something bothers us, we might be able to buy a privacy curtain if we don't like people looking out a window, right? I mean, he didn't like the obvious shadow banning and censorship that took place, and it has gotten very much exposed because we've had, and this always bothers me, the New York Times, or the old gray lady, has now decided that that Hunter laptop, right, is in fact real and not Russian collusion or Russian hoax or disinformation or misinformation. And therefore, I don't know why we have to wait for the New York Times to be the arbitrator of it. And this brings me to the fact that, last night was the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And they do that every year. And it's when the correspondents, I think you could make that leap, but people from the media gather to the tune of over 2,000 people crammed into the function room at the, I think it's the Marriott in DC. I don't know what hotel. I think it's a Marriott. Doesn't matter. It's a huge ballroom. And so it's a super spreader event by any other definition, except for when it's a mostly Democratic event, apparently. But the president did attend. There was a lot of concern about that. Now, what did we see in the last few weeks? Kamala Harris comes down. She's positive for COVID. Asymptomatic, great. And she's doing very well from what we understand. We hope that this is one of those things that just passes through her and there's no issues there. And it looks like that's going to happen. So good for her, and our prayers with her, regardless of our politics. She's our vice president. So you don't want anything happening. But the president attended, and no one was masked up. Well, you shouldn't say this. Some people wore masks if you look at it, right? Some were coming in, some weren't. But the interesting thing is the wait staff, the servants in this situation, did not have to wear masks because it's tied to the whole union thing, because they're all in a union. And if the union hasn't agreed to it, it doesn't happen, folks. So interesting. Fauci didn't attend. Okay, so that's interesting. He didn't attend. He said this isn't over. This guy is trying to hold on to his relevancy so bad that everything is still a problem. And there's always a boogeyman on the horizon, folks. Something else is coming. Whereas if we talk to a lot of mainstream doctors and doctors who actually practice medicine, unlike Dr. Fauci, who have, these are doctors who work in hospitals. They have rights and privileges, is the way they say it for doctors, privileges in multiple hospitals. They actually see patients. And they're saying this is we've moved to an endemic, and this is something that we're going to live with. I said this a long time ago, folks. This is on the planet, period. The virus is on the planet. We're not going to eradicate it from the planet. Nor have we ever eradicated any other virus. We've just learned to deal with it, cope with it, vaccinate for it, and then understand that there's going to be seasonal flares up, right? Just like, hey, where do you think we get the term flu season from? We know when everybody catches the flu, yet we had a very mild flu season the last couple of years because people were quarantining themselves, staying distances, wearing masks, washing their hands, things we probably should have all been doing, not wearing masks or quarantining, but washing our hands and being conscious of germs is something I think we probably should do anyway. So that's neither here nor there right now. But the correspondence dinner took place. And it was the first time that a president attended in 6 years. Donald Trump didn't attend, his prerogative. And I understand why, even though part of the gig at the correspondence dinner is to roast the president to a degree, right? They're there to kind of make fun of the president and of the media a little bit. And Noah Wiley, is that his name? The South African guy. He was the host. I don't watch his show. I don't particularly find him funny. But anyway, he was the host of it. And the president attended, and this was interesting. They made sure that we understood that he will attend, but he won't eat the food there. When it was time to eat, he would leave. Now, I don't understand exactly what that's supposed to mean. Is eating a dangerous time? Does the virus know when it's eating? Or is it just simply like in a lot of situations, presidents, I don't know if you know this or not or realize this, but the Secret Service don't let the presidents eat at functions. They don't have the tight control over the food and the history of the food, the lineage of the food, like from who cooked it, who touched it, who had exposure to it. Quite frankly, so you'll see whether it was Barack Obama. I know a friend who attended a luncheon thing when he was up here in Massachusetts, I think in the Vineyard or something, and was saying, "Oh, Mr. President, these are, some made something. These are delicious and wonderful," and he's saying they look great, but I can't eat it. So the presidents tend to have to go to these things. Everyone else eats. They eat their food prepared by, White House chefs and so forth, where the Secret Service has complete control over it. So that's really what I think that's about, and not, oh, the virus knows when you're eating and not eating, guys. But they got a little mileage out of that on the jokes. So that was all right. But it was interesting because I did watch some of it in the clips because I wanted to see how it handled. Of course, they had to take a couple jabs that Trump wouldn't go there. But that was a very hostile room for Donald Trump, when you think about it. Very hostile room that it would have been. But before we have to take a break, let me jump to the phones because I don't want to make somebody wait all the way through the break here this morning. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Mark in Worcester is waiting, and I appreciate that. Mark, good morning. You look marvelous.
You look marvelous as well. Regarding the press gala that took place last night, Uncle Joe said he was addressing the members of the, quote, ha ha ha, free press. And he said it's nice to address a group of people that have approval ratings lower than mine.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, they got a good chuckle out of that one. And the second thing I want to speak about is the formation of the Department of Homeland Security, Orwellian new disinformation governance board, being headed up by a woman by the name of Nina Jankowicz. You know, we're not living in Kansas anymore, folks.
No,
we got a real problem.
No, and the interesting thing about
problem.
that, Mark, is that woman has been in that position for weeks. We just learned about it when Mayorkas was in front of Congress the other day. So I think that's fascinating that the federal government created and instilled a czar, director, whatever her title is, into this position to monitor free speech on American citizens. The department, go to your web, whatever you use, your phone, your computer, go to DHS, Department of Homeland Security, look at their charter, and the first thing that pops up there is what? It is to protect us and stop terrorism from coming onto our borders. And that's the purpose. It was created after 9/11. It has that. Yet, we find out that 42 people on the terrorist watch list illegally entered the southern border, got into the country. Now, we don't know the getaways, and by definition of getaways is we don't know who they are. They got away from the Border Patrol, but they got into the country. So we have no idea how many more people might be on the terrorist watch list that are in the country. But the fact that Jim Jordan asked Secretary Mayorkas, where are these 42 men? And he's the director of Homeland Security, folks, and he didn't know. He couldn't answer the question. But, Mark, I got to take it. You're welcome to hold, but I do have to take a break here at 1:15, and we will do that. It's a very short break, even though we take more breaks. They are only like 2 minutes long, folks. That's it. And we'll come back on the other side, 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. And don't forget, we're live streaming on all of my social media platforms. Joe Mangiacotti, stick with us. We'll continue with the second segment of the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show.
You just may have the best podcast anywhere.
Blah, 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 blah.
But who knows it exists? Hello? Get your podcast to broadcast on radio. Create a podcast. Improve your
Looks like Mark held through the break, so
production and editing. Record your podcast in a real radio studio. Visit podcasttobroadcast.org today. Get your podcast on the radio with podcasttobroadcast.org.
Spring is in the air, and it's full speed ahead for your Worcester Red Sox. And tickets are on sale now. Enjoy unique bobbleheads, Unibank fireworks, and magical moments for your family on the field. Visit WooSox.com or call 508-500-8888. No worries at Fuller Park. We'll see you opening day, April 12th.
New studies and testimonials are streaming in across the country, describing the many benefits found at CBD BioNaturals. One benefit is improved sleep. During sleep, your immune system releases proteins called cytokines, needed to fight infections, inflammation, and stress. See for yourself how CBD BioNaturals may help you fall and stay asleep and assist your immune system with the release of cytokines, proteins you need to fight infections, inflammation, and stress, just when you need it most. Improve your overall health and your state of mind with the CBD you know and trust. Manufactured to the highest standards, made in the USA, shipped for free with a 100% satisfaction.
all right, we're coming back.
A safe and effective, all-natural, non-addictive, holistic alternative that provides proven health benefits. See how it works at cbdbionow.com, because now is the time to improve and protect your health. Visit cbdbionow.com. That's cbdbionow.com.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know.
All right. Welcome back to the second segment of the Sunday morning Joe Mangiacotti Show. Don't forget, we are live streaming on Facebook, Twitter at Joe Mangi Show, my YouTube channel, The Joe Mangiacotti Show, my LinkedIn page, and even over on Twitch TV at Joe M Show if you want to join us. It's just a camera in the studio, but the audio is flowing. So you have several ways to tune in to WCRN. And if you do it on TuneIn, folks, I ask you, hit that like button, please. We want those numbers up. 508-871-7000. Mark had stayed over. We were talking. The discussion moved into this board, and this is just, folks, from moment go, this is entirely unconstitutional. And I think that everyone needs to start calling your reps and senators and making sure you voice your opinion that this is extremely offensive, unconstitutional. The fact that the Department of Homeland Security is turning its massive budget in man hours and agents to monitor the speech of American citizens is outrageous. Their purpose when it comes to monitoring speech is, the analogy would be the CIA. They're not allowed to function on American soil. Their function is to gather intelligence outside of the country of possible allies as well as enemies, to see what's going on and keep a handle on it so that we understand what's happening around the globe. Well, the DHS is supposed to be monitoring the disinformation and misinformation coming from our enemies in their attempts to manipulate the internet and things here. Now, my first thought is, why didn't you start with TikTok, the biggest and largest Chinese spying device ever created? It's Chinese owned. They've convinced millions, 300 million subscribers to TikTok. And when you sign up for that thing, as much information is taken out of your phone as put into your phone, probably more. So they're downloading information off your device, and now they're connected, and they basically have 300 million microphones and cameras in the United States. That doesn't bother anybody. The last thing I would ever put on any of my devices is TikTok. And if you're a parent and you allow your kids on it, you need to rethink that. Just saying. Just saying. So this Nina Jankowski, who is appointed, she used to be part of the Wilson Center, which was a think tank. And she has a record of what? Pushing disinformation. She absolutely pushed the Russian hoax collusion. She told you that the Hunter laptop was false and it was just a red flag from the Russians, and it was misinformation, along with those 51 intelligence or former intelligence people with top secret clearance. And my question to them is, why does anyone maintain a top secret clearance when you are no longer a cog in the government? If you're a civilian, there's no reason for you to have a top secret clearance anymore. Why? You shouldn't be having access to or being shown anything top secret, eyes only, or anything of that nature. You are a civilian. You're out of it. That's just another thing I get aggravated with. There's a little list of those things, by the way. But Mark, going back to the correspondence dinner, yes, this whole thing with this board, and people are saying misinformation, disinformation. What is the difference? And I think that's something people are asking. All right, you can tell people that. Go ahead.
The term disinformation is right out of Joe Stalin's Soviet Union. He is the one who first used the term disinformation. Disinformation. It's right out of the Soviet Union.
Right. But the difference is, disinformation is
we
orchestrated.
got a First Amendment.
All right, but let me, for the listeners, let me explain to them, because people are asking the question: why do they keep saying disinformation, misinformation? Aren't they the same thing? They're not, because disinformation is created. You purposefully are putting out disinformation. Misinformation is information you put out and you're just wrong about it. Okay, you're just wrong. You didn't do your homework. You didn't check your facts. That's a mistake. So remember it that way: mistake, misinformation. You're putting out information that's inaccurate, and there's nothing sinister there. It's just that you're stuck into that stupid bubble of I believe all this. The disinformation is when it's actually orchestrated and it's calculated and it's part of a bigger thing, is that you have to put this line or this narrative out in this stream of information in order to achieve something. So that's disinformation, and misinformation is you just got it wrong. Okay, Mark left us. So that's what it was. So when you hear people say, oh, the border misinformation, disinformation, they're not the same thing. And when you have disinformation, there's a little more sinisterness behind it. But back to the correspondence dinner, over 2,000 people in there. I think one of them, I don't know whether it was Noah or whoever, made reference to, what are we doing here, guys? Don't you remember the gridiron dinner, right? We had the gridiron dinner a few weeks ago, and the president didn't attend that one. But 80 people ended up coming out of there with COVID because they did the same thing, stuck thousands of people in a ballroom. And when they try to make these comparisons to the ballroom in the airplane, how can you say this without it being any plainer or making sense? Yeah, there is a difference between, a big, huge ballroom, but when you put 2,000 or 2,100 people, right? Because it's over 2,000 when you start adding the stragglers and the staff, management, et cetera, and security. Over 2,000 people, I don't care how big that ballroom is, it's a problem. But when you're in an airplane, a commercial airliner, at 25, 30,000 feet, and they have a ventilation system in there, the air in that tube is replaced every 6 minutes. It's fresh air. So as the airline's trying to tell us, one of the safest places you can ever be is actually in an airplane. Where else do you go where the air in the room where the compartment you're in is changed every 6 minutes? Doesn't happen at the grocery store, the drugstore, the department store, the doctor's office. So it's one of the safest places. I think we have some audio, Shane, do we from the correspondence dinner? Let's listen in for a second. We'll figure out who this is. There were some pretty good
real
moments.
coup if that occurred.
I mean, Dr. Fauci dropped out. That should have been a pretty big sign. Fauci thought it was too dangerous to come tonight. Pete Davidson thinks it's okay. And we all went with Pete. Okay. Really glad you could make it tonight, Jen. It's nice that you're willing to come over here and risk getting COVID for the 10th time now? Let me ask, how do you keep getting COVID, Jen? Like, your boss hooked us all up with free tests. Does he not have your address? What's going on there?
We're here to show the country that we're getting through this pandemic. Plus, everyone had to prove they're fully vaccinated and boosted. So if you're at home watching this and you're wondering how to do that, just contact your favorite Fox News reporter. They're all here, vaccinated and boosted, all of them.
I know everyone in this room is worried about who catches you laughing at what, but just chill, We're celebrating, we're out. Get comfortable. Not too comfortable, Jeffrey Toobin, not too comfortable. No, you know what? No, don't ooh him, bunch of haters. You know what? So what, Jeffrey? You made a mistake. You whipped it out in front of your coworkers. That's the first step to winning a Grammy for Comedy Album of the Year. You're halfway there, my friend. You don't let the haters stop you. We all come back from mistakes.
I'm not really here to roast the GOP.
You can take it anytime, and I'll just bring it down.
There's nothing I can say about the GOP that Kevin McCarthy hasn't already put on tape.
All right, that's good for now. But the point is, I did watch Biden. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did watch the president's part of it. And they must have, really had him take 2 naps yesterday, give him a little B12 shot. I don't know what they did, but he pretty much delivered all of his jokes, which apparently, obviously, were written for him. He delivered his jokes pretty well. There was only a couple of, little mix-ups in getting the word out and so forth, but he did a pretty good job there. Now, he took a shot, of course, at Trump. I don't think we heard it on that clip, but he talks about The first time there's a president here in 6 years, because it was canceled and we had problems and we had this horrific plague, that attacked the country, and then we had COVID for 2 years. So he took the jab at Trump that he was a horrific plague, but that's what that's what they do there. They did go after Fox's Peter Ducey a little bit. That was a little out of taste, I think. But all in all, I mean, from what I watched, it was some funny things. And this guy Noah, hey, he made some jokes. Think about, hey, since you became president, things are really looking up. Everything's up: gas, food, oil. Good joke, funny stuff. All right. So anyway, that happened last night. Now the question is, will we have 70 or 80 COVID positive people out of this function last night, like the Gridiron dinner? Well, we'll have to see. Going back to Elon Musk, I'm telling you, this Nina Jankowski coming out and being placed into this thing, absolutely the wrong person. You can go. This makes me actually remember another part of the story.
Music starts on its own. Sorry.
Going on, and that is, whether you realize it or not, Wikipedia is being rewritten, and history is being rewritten right in front of our eyes. And there was a story out from the Hill and Politico about staffers going in and rewriting a lot of these Supreme Court justices' background in that those who were up for it. But we can talk about that. But a couple of things more I want to talk about: Elon Musk, the purchase of that, free speech.
50 seconds.
And then we'll change to some other things here, folks. But reminding you, you can watch us live streaming on Facebook and Twitter at Joe Mangi Show, on YouTube channel as well. And if you, what are we at, 29? Yeah, we got enough time. So anyway, I'm going to wrap up. We'll come back for the second half of the Joe Mangiacotti Show Sunday edition. Take care. Slow. So I'm gonna have to,
Dr. Satya Mitra has journeyed from a childhood of poverty and homelessness to a successful career as a financial advisor, motivational speaker, and community leader. Now inspired by his guru, he uses his experiences to positively affect the lives of underprivileged people. We strive to house our blindness, poverty, homelessness, female empowerment, and good citizenship initiatives within the Joy Guru Humanitarian Center. If you wish to contribute or know of deserving persons or initiatives that could use our assistance, please contact us at 508-641-8444.
Hi, this is Jerry Doherty from Making Money Last. One of the biggest threats facing our country is the changing face of retirement planning. The move away from secure company-sponsored pension plans to more risky, market-vulnerable 401k plans. In previous market crashes, many retirees watched in horror as their 401k lost a lot of its value, shattering retirement dreams in some cases forever. Everyone agrees there's got to be a better way to save for retirement than using something where half your money can disappear almost overnight, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you're close to retiring, I'd like to invite you to join former Congressman Peter Balut and me for a very special event that we'll be hosting at the Hanover Theater Conservatory right in downtown Worcester. On Tuesday, May 3rd at 6 p.m., we'll premiere the acclaimed retirement documentary, The Baby Boomer Dilemma. This 90-minute film exposes the financial threats facing America's baby boomers as they prepare to retire. We're showing this film free of charge, but you must be at or near retirement, close to retiring. To register, simply call 877-772-1776. Again, that number is 877-772-1776. Reserve your seat today.
Whether it's the latest news, sports, and weather, Howie Carr in the afternoon, or North Star music at night, listening to Full Service Radio 830 WCRN has never been easier. Just log on to WCRNradio.com.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know. It's time to talk to Joe.
All right, folks, welcome back for the second half of the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show in AM 830 WCRN. Live streaming on social media platforms, you know it, and go to TuneIn. TuneIn is a great device. I love it. Even when I'm in the car, most of the time I'm actually streaming on TuneIn, and I let it syncs up to your car, you know, on the Bluetooth, and you listen. It's a wonderful thing. Go there and press that like button. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Mike Wade will join us at 7 o'clock this morning, and we'll continue throughout with Peter Blute, and Jerry Doherty jumps in at 9:30. All right, we have Secretary Mayorkas showing up in Congress this week, and I got to tell you, I made reference to it a little while ago about Representative Jim Jordan asking him some blatant questions. And of course, he gets criticism for attacking the guy. Then we had another congressman telling him straight out that his constituents want to impeach him, actually want to arrest him. They think he's a traitor. Those are the words he used. And these aren't coming from me right now. I'm just relaying what was going on in this hearing. And it's interesting to take that position because he takes the same oath that everybody takes, and from the president down to all the cabinet members, even soldiers, right, about protecting the country and our allegiance to our nation and protecting us from enemies, foreign and domestic. And both the president, where it's coming from, and the secretary aren't doing their job. And the stupidity behind having a wall like 90+% done and then just stopping it makes the entire wall moot in the sense that it's asinine. I mean, I remember this episode as a child. I don't know why it sticks in my head, but it was Bonanza. And you remember Host and Little Joe and those guys. And there's a scene where they're chatting and they're at the fence, the gate and the fence, and they're talking to each other. And Host is on one side, Little Joe's on the other side. And when they're done, he opens the gate, he walks through the gate, and he closes the gate. And as the camera pans out, there's no fence, just a gate. There's absolutely nothing on either side of the gate. And as a little kid, I'm watching this, and this struck me as this, what was it? I pointed it out to my mother, and I was laughing. And this is what we got. We got parts of the fence, but any Hoss or Little Joe can walk right around what's already there. And we're letting this stuff rust in the middle or all along the southern border, and costing us $5 million a day not to build it. Governor Abbott from Texas went to the administration because one of the first things Joe Biden did was stop the construction. He said, let the state of Texas buy the supplies. We'll finish the wall ourselves. And they said, no. Walls don't work. But there's one around the White House, isn't there? And they put one around the Capitol when they thought there was going to be some trouble, but they don't work. I guess it's like the virus, only in certain times. So they said, no, you can't buy it. So the ranchers along the border have gone to the governor, the state of Texas, and said, will you please put up Constantine wire, anything? This is ridiculous. We're finding our ranches just torn apart and clothes and trash strewn all over the place. They're breaking into barns. They're breaking into the homes. You've got ranchers that won't go out into their own yard to garden without being strapped. They won't leave their home within their property. They won't be unarmed outside of their house. And you're pretty darn sure there's probably weapons very easily accessible within the house, and they know where they are. That's how it is. Interview after interview I've seen down there with ranchers, they all say the same thing. It used to be, sure, they came across. So, but they were polite, for lack of a better way of saying it. They would come onto the property. Yeah, they broke the law. They came in, they're trespassing. They'd knock on the door, and they would ask if they could have some water or, help them out there. And was it okay Could they crash in the barn? I mean, stuff like they don't ask. They just come in, take, and trash the place. And you have Mayorkas up there, and Jim Jordan. I saw him on an interview after that session. And he said, I almost didn't ask the question about the 42 terrorist watch list people because he figured he would look stupid. Because if he asked the question, of course, the secretary is going to come back and say, of course they're not. They are in detention or they've been sent back. And Jordan wouldn't, it kind of looked stupid for asking, such an obvious question. Of course, we don't let 42 known terrorists run around the country. And he said he was floored by the answer. And the answer was, I don't know where they are. You are the Secretary of Homeland Security. These are 42 people from the terrorist watch list that you physically had custody of. And now you don't know where they are? Are you telling us you gave them a cell phone and a ticket to wherever they wanted to go? Are you telling us you don't know they were put on a secure plane and returned to country of origin? You aren't telling us that they are in a detention center? How do you not know that? The fact that you don't know where these people are, which is the number one task, the number one mission of Homeland Security, is to prevent terrorists from entering the country. On that alone, sir, you are derelict and should be removed from that position post haste. It's beyond ridiculous, folks. November cannot come quick enough, but it's really January because people are elected in November, but nobody's sworn in until January, and changes don't happen for another few months. Can we make it that long? 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Ken and Bolton. Good morning, Ken. How are you, sir?
Good morning, Joe. And hello again, Patriots.
Patriots. Love it.
The news just keeps flying, doesn't it?
It's a good time to be in this business for me, I got to tell you.
And it's once again, it's time for the Hall of Fame, Hall of Shame. And, it's just too easy to pick Mayorkas for the Hall of Shame. We'll just stow him away because there's going to be future opportunity, obviously.
Well, he's kind of Hall of Shame for the year. I mean, we should probably have a couple of for the year, shame actions of the year recipient type of thing. Yeah. Because it's an ongoing thing. This isn't like somebody who gets the Hall of Shame because they did one stupid thing, made one stupid remark, or something. This guy is living this stupidity. He's living it. He's derelict in his duty every moment he's awake and sleeping, for that matter, because he has done nothing to secure the border. He has done nothing to prevent them from coming. Yes, he's dealing with a boss, and folks, it's not like people coming over aren't asked, why are you coming here right now? And they all have the same answer. Because Joe Biden told us to. He said, come. You're not going to be turned away. That's why they're coming. And I want to get into the whole amnesty thing, but let you finish your thing here. So, Mayorkas, do we have anyone else that particularly jumps out in the Hall of Shame? Maybe Nina?
I'd rather go local. David LaBeouf.
Oh.
There once was a day when somebody that is elected did something like what he did Wednesday, and it's like everybody knows, okay, you got to go.
Yeah.
But then again, we live in Massachusetts, and depending on which party you're on, you're treated totally different.
Right. Hey, remember, James Michael Curley won an election while sitting in a federal prison cell. So, Massachusetts politics like no other.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with that one.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all. But
it was white collar stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. The bottom line is we, the people, have to stand up and be heard. So I don't care what the left has to say as an excuse. Yeah. They need to be sent to the curb.
Yeah, and the thing about it, and you were talking about this earlier in the week, I think it was. The pulling the papers, and I know we've been running some PSAs from Jim Lyons, the chair of the Republican State Committee, saying run, and think about it this way. Look at who holds office. Do you really think you couldn't hold office for some of these people that are in there? I mean, when I decided to make a run for the state senate years ago, most of that was I was in the media. I was a news guy, and I was interviewing all these politicians all the time, and I was saying, "Wow, this person, if they can get elected." And that's one of the reasons I ran but being in there and getting elected are absolutely two different things, by the way, right? Getting elected has nothing to do with how good of a rep or senator you're going to be, or even governor. It's very much a science to getting elected. But anyway, who's on the fame this week?
Elon Musk.
Okay, I'll go along with that. I mean, they're coming after him already, and they're going to come after him with both barrels, because prior to buying Twitter, he was the electric car man, right? He was the savior of the green movement for cars. The solar, the rockets. He was this visionary, and now, oh my goodness! And what have we seen? Just with he's not even in control of the place yet, Ken. But all of a sudden, whether it's Donald Trump Jr. Or some of the conservative talking heads, Fox and everything, all of a sudden their Twitter followerships have jumped by hundreds of thousands. So somebody's already adjusted the old shackles, as he said.
30.
And we got to take a break here. It'll be the final break of the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. And we will be back on the other side for the fourth and final segment. And then Mike Wade joins us at 7 o'clock this morning here on AM 830 WCRN. I'm Joe Mangiacotti, 508-871-7000. Lines open and available. Stick with us.
Hey everybody, Ryan Maloney here from It's the Liquor Talking, letting you know that you can hear us Saturday mornings at 11, but also at our new time, weeknights, right after Howie Carr at 7 p.m. It doesn't stop there. Randall and I are going to stick around and host North Star Music after the show. So join us for New England's only show about wine and spirits, and then pour yourself a glass of your favorite adult beverage. Enjoy Randall and I as we listen to your favorite music on the North Star.
96 elephants are killed every day in Africa for their ivory. That's 35,000 a year. With your support, more poachers can be caught. With your voice, we can inspire more countries to ban ivory sales and reduce demand. Go to 96elephants.org and join more than 1 million people dedicated to saving Africa's elephants. Protect their home. Take action at 96elephants.org.
Expert Agents Realty is a family-owned real estate firm with offices in 2 locations, Northborough and East Longmeadow. For 25 years, Mark Toomey, the owner-broker of Expert Agents Realty, has focused on providing buyer and seller clients the highest level of service in the industry. A licensed real estate broker, Mark has sold hundreds and hundreds of properties for clients in the Metro West and Worcester County areas, specializing in residential sales, single-family condominiums, multifamily homes, and land. Working with all types of buyers and sellers, including first-time buyers, retirees, investors, and builders. Being a full-service broker means handling every aspect of the buying and selling process, working with a team of local lenders, attorneys, and other industry professionals to help ensure a smooth buying and selling process. Call Mark today at 508-393-3383 and put the power of experience to work for you in your search for a new home.
This is the Joe Mangiacotti Show. We are the show you want to know. It's
All right, welcome back to the fourth and final segment of the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show here in AM 830 WCRN. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. That's 508-871-7000. All right. So yeah, Elon Musk buying this, they're going to come after him. We know this, right? I mean, whether it's the SEC going to try, it just, and all of a sudden, right, we have this disinformation board. What do you think that's all about? Again, folks, that's got to be challenged right away. You can't have a government agency that's monitoring your speech. It has no teeth, by the way, right? It's not like you're going to be imprisoned or something like that. It's the principle of it. It is absolutely the principle of it. The government shouldn't even have the ability to put a check mark or a flag or a tag or anything on you. Okay. Now we already have laws that exist that if you knowingly lie about somebody or something, it's slanderous. If you're putting in writing, it's libel. I liken this to the border situation. When we have people coming out, and all the Democrats now, they're taking these photo ops because they're seeing the polls and they're seeing what's going to happen in a few months, 6 months. They see what's going to happen. So they're taking these photo opportunities down by the border. And what cracks me up is they're saying things like, it's time for some kind of physical deterrent. Seriously? It's called a wall, you idiot. Yeah, walls do work. So they're taking these opportunities for that right now. And Mayorkas, one of the things that, he's coming forward with is that 20-page memorandum on how to secure the border, what they're going to do. You know what's basically in it is the United States Code for border security. We have the laws already, folks. The problem is you're not enforcing the laws. And the discussion about Title 42, keeping Title 42, not getting rid of Title 42, Title 42 has been there, and that actually does come under the CDC. Imagine that. All of these overreaches that they've done that they have no authority for, like evictions and moratorium on evictions and all kinds of other things that they're saying you need to do, is not in their wheelhouse. But Title 42 actually is a CDC thing. And Title 42 should be in place all the time, in the sense of if you're coming in, if we grab you, we don't know what your medical history is. Before COVID-19 hit us, right, we had seen the reoccurrence or the resurgence of a lot of childhood diseases because we do the vaccinations when we're entering grade school, right? Chicken pox and things like that. Well, that stuff's coming back. There is a reason for a secure border other than, and this seems to escape a lot of people, we are a sovereign nation with a defined border. And if you don't have a defined, secure border, you're not a nation, really. You're just an area people can get into. So we need the border, and we do need the reform. All of these people that are going through horrific trips, right? They're traveling, and they have to come up with thousands of dollars to pay these cartels and coyotes. And they're telling you, they go through Mexico. The federales in Mexico, they're shaking them down. They're asking for more money. They're taking their documents away. So if they have the money to pay them, they have the money to buy a plane ticket. So let's streamline this. You fly into the United States of America, say you want to come here and you start over. I've got the ability to come here on my own. I've got X amount of dollars so that I can, as long as you give me that piece of paper, that I can work in this country. We have 11,000 jobs that need to be filled, folks. It's not like it's hard to get a job right now. and they would be getting a legitimate job. So it's not going to be, affecting the work pool and cheap labor and causing other people not to be able to get a job. They would be getting a legit job above board. They would have enough money to buy, first, last security, get a job, and they're not a drain or responsibility on the taxpayers, or somebody sponsors them. Do you have a problem? I don't have a problem with that. Somebody migrates to the United States. They come in. Hey, don't worry about it. We're staying with family. They've signed an affidavit for our responsibility. We will not apply for or expect to receive any entitlements, welfare, food stamps, anything of that nature. And maybe a 2-year period or something, because maybe they have, once they're established and they're working here like everybody else, they might run into trouble. But if they've been here paying taxes the whole time, contributing and assimilating to the United States, then they're on their way to citizenship. What is wrong with that? I have no problem with that. But I have a huge problem with thousands, 8,000 people a day. They're talking about 18,000 people a day when Title 42 is lifted, coming in. We have no idea who they are, because it's not like we know if they say their name is John Smith when they come over. How do we know that? They have no documentation. They can be whoever they want. I think when you come to the country, you need to have documentation proving who you are so that we can look at your background. That's the other thing. If you have a criminal background, don't bother. You have a criminal background, you try to come into the country, turn around, go away. You're not part of it. Just doesn't happen. Hey, before we run out of time for the Joe Mangiacotti Show, I don't know if you caught this, but Pelosi and a few others made a surprise visit to Kyiv to reaffirm U.S. commitment to Ukraine. She met with Zelensky. Zelensky's office on Friday said an operation was planned to evacuate civilians sheltering in that steel plant. And I don't know if you follow, are you following it, but just a quick thing. So there's the steel plant, and you had some soldiers, and you had a bunch of civilians who were pretty much stuck in there. It was too dangerous to make a move. All right. No food, no water, no lights, no running water, bad conditions. They were able to make arrangements and negotiate a safe corridor to get them out of there. Now they say that a couple British volunteers have been captured by Russian troops. We had the American former Marine, again, not a former, right? Once a Marine, always a Marine. And he was killed in action. He was there. He was a corrections officer in his civilian life, and he was also a Marine, not on active duty, but he was killed, and it's sketchy as to how. His widow just would like the remains back so that he can have a appropriate burial, and that's really, I mean, who can't ask for that? I hope that happens. So we have an American, not an official capacity of American, but he was an American, and he died in the line of duty. He died. And Willie Cancel was his name. Funny that his surname's Cancel. Willie Cancel, 22 years old, wife with a son 7 months old. I personally don't know if I'd want to go into, if I wasn't active duty in one of the branches of the American services, I don't know if I'd want to take a job with a 7-month-old son at home that, well, your mortality rate's pretty low. I don't know. But that's their decision that they did. Anyway, that happened. So Speaker Pelosi, she made the unannounced trip to Kyiv, Ukraine, met with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Video captured the moment, of course. Our congressman, right, McGovern was one of the entourage that was there that went on the trip with them. And then Zelensky tweeted out after the meeting, the United States is a leader in Ukraine's strong support in the fight against Russian aggression. Thank you for helping to protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of our state. Let that sink in for a moment, because you have Speaker Pelosi and Jim McGovern going to Ukraine, right, to help protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of their country. But they don't seem to do a lot to protect the sovereignty and territorial integrity of our country. You know, the country that they're sworn to do, the country that they're citizens of, and they're not just citizens, they're elected officials to high office. So it seems that they think the integrity and sovereign borders of other countries need our help by the tune of billions of dollars. But our sovereign nation, our border, and the integrity of our border, not so much. Don't get that.
Minute and a half.
Don't get that at all, folks. So Pelosi made this trip over, secret little trip over. Like I said, Jim McGovern, our local congressman here, also on that trip as well. All right, what else is happening? Mike Wade's going to join us shortly at 7 o'clock. He takes us to 9. Peter Blute. I'm back tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. The Joe Mangiacotti Show now runs Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 1. So we're through the week on those 3 days so far. Still on the Sunday as well. And then we'll see what else we go from there. Where else we go from there. Don't forget that the Joe Mangiacotti Show is also a podcast after we air, which can be downloaded on Spotify and iHeartRadio and TuneIn, all of those platforms. So check it out. All right, that's going to wrap up for me, the Sunday edition. Mike Wade's coming in after the break. I'll be here for a little while. Teddy Goodpup in studio, Shane behind the board, and that will wrap up the Sunday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN.